All right, welcome back to the Code Searcher. All right, like I said right before class, you guys, we're going to be talking about this new film and this trend that's going on with disclosure, but also some interesting revelation on the book of Daniel and the prophecies about the Messiah. We're going to look at both of those things tonight. And so I hope you got some codes. I'm making an opportunity that you can share. I got one on the disclosure, but before we look at that, I want to look at this trailer of this film. I haven't seen it yet. People have asked me to go see this and even recommended that I search this out, and I did. I'm still in the preliminary findings of that, by the way, but I've been working on that this past week because I've had so many people asking about it. It's probably because of this film. Have you guys heard about this, the Disclosure Day, about the UFOs and stuff? What do you think about that? You think it's legit or some kind of psyop or, Nephilim, perhaps?
I heard it was Steven Spielberg's worst film.
Yeah, I've heard some some
So
people say that actually Beck, Glenn Beck said the same thing. It wasn't his
oh,
best,
did he?
but it's not his worst either. It's actually better than a lot of films, but there were some parts on it that didn't make sense. It's clear that they're trying to send you a message and they're trying to program you to think a certain way. And I didn't understand what he meant by that. He said there is a particular religious element to this movie, but for the most part, there was a couple of places where it just left him going, really? So I don't know what that means, but here is the trailer. There's several trailers, but here's just one. If you haven't seen this, this is what they want you to focus on.
I can see them.
Let me know if you can hear that.
I am much more inclined now than I was when I made Close Encounters to really believe that we're not the only intelligent civilization in the universe.
What are they trying to tell you?
What did you steal?
Secrets. People have a right to know the truth.
This is a story about us, all of us,
Good morning, Kansas City.
up against the most extraordinary event in human history.
What's happening to me? I'm frightened. I'm frightened out of my wits.
You don't need to be. You have someone else.
Daniel Kellner,
Who is this?
do not go back to the house. They found you. I don't know who you are, but they're gonna kill you.
The human race cannot accept what we know. We need to stop it any way we can.
You cannot accept what they know. You see what they're saying to you, right?
What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing?
This 79-year cover-up of the truth has to end.
We're interrupting our coverage.
How will disclosure change us? I believe for the better. It will remind us of our capacity for empathy, and that there is something bigger out there than just ourselves.
The only way to know your purpose is to go back to where it all began.
I know you.
Where it all began. You mean back to Eden, right? Or something else.
I know you do. What happened to us?
I used to say to myself, wouldn't it be wonderful if all of this turned out to be true?
And then you could say that God is the God of the Bible is folklore. It's a myth, right? Because there's aliens out there and we come from something bigger, right?
Now thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful for people to know
They're coming.
All of this is true.
All right, that's called the final. That's called the final trailer there. They've actually been pushing this. Hold on. They've actually been pushing this for months. And again, this guy, Spielberg's put out some really. I mean, he did E.T. He did, the what was the one in the late '70s, early '80s?
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
That's right. Yeah, that one.
Is
So
is it on pay-per-view?
No, it's not. It's
no,
only in
this
theaters right
movie,
now.
this movie is in the theaters right now. But people have been recommending
In theaters.
Jonathan, you got to go see this. You got to go see this. It's like a big thing. So here's another. Yeah, here we go. Somebody's got their microphone open.
Hello, Jane. Please. Have a seat.
Good morning, Kansas City. Let's take a look at today.
Today's.
We're interrupting our coverage. There has been a threat to publicly release government material long shrouded in secrecy.
What did you steal?
Secrets. The data they paid me to protect.
Are they people?
No.
If you found out we weren't alone, if someone showed you, proved it to you, would that frighten you?
Do you understand what she's saying?
I hear it. It's gibberish. I can't understand it.
And I can.
Do you think there could be others?
People have a right to know the truth.
What are you gonna do?
All right, so apparently there's some people that can understand this language and others who cannot.
Full disclosure to the whole world, all at once. I'm a part of it now. I'm just sorry they made you a part of it too.
What's happening to me?
People are starved for the truth.
If you do this, there's no undoing it.
This 79-year terror campaign of lies has to end.
That truth will upend all established order across the entire world. If you do this, there's no undoing it.
Why would he make such a vast universe, yet save it only for us?
You hear what she said? Why would he make a vast universe?
Why would they do this?
When the time is right, everything will become clear.
What happens? Don't you let go.
There will be no other day like tomorrow.
Whatever happens, don't let go. That's pretty fascinating. Anyway, so I had a lot of people messaging me, gotta look at this. What's going on with this? I wasn't even paying attention to Steven Spielberg and the movie. I don't even go to movies, you guys. It's been a long time since I've been to a movie. So I don't even know what it's about. I did look it up. It is encoded. Not just once, a few times. And so that's something I've been working on here. You guys with me? Hello. All right, very good. So this is the disclosure, and it's full disclosure, actually, is the access term. Just a couple of terms so far that I look for, which was right off the bat was Nephilim. Nephilim does appear here. And it comes in close proximity and makes kind of like actually it makes a 7. I don't know what it means, but that word there, Zerot, which is a word for anomaly or, it has several meanings. It's one of the words for anomaly. So you have Nephilim anomaly that come together. That makes a 7. The word for grays, the grays goes this way in the blue there. It's the aleph, the pei, vav, resh, yod, mem is the grays. And by the way, that same word right there, zerut, is also here as well. And as well as down below, you have the Nephilim down below at a rather small skip. Vertical, we've got the word for deception is vertical here, but it's also something that crosses the access term here. Like I said, this is actually encoded several times, actually 5 times in the codes there. I haven't looked at the verses yet. I haven't spent, let's just say that I haven't spent much time looking. I've glanced through a few of them and kind of looked at different places where this is. It starts early in the Torah, and then by here we're in First Kings. Down here is the prophets, Psalms, and so forth at the bottom. So at a skip of 23,664. That's the skip I have it at right here. It's probably still a lot here. I need to go verse by verse and line by line and look at what runs through there. But just initially, just from a few hours of looking at this, that's what we got so far on this disclosure.
What was the search term you used there?
Full disclosure. Full disclosure.
So that would encompass more than just the movie.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, it can imply many things, and you probably would find traces of anything that requires the Epstein files. You could probably find Epstein in there. Full disclosure, right? But for this particular movie, and I was trying to actually disclose the word just disclosure. It's not many letters. I needed more letters for it to be a more significant code. Does that make sense? When you search something, you always want to have as many letters as possible, even with ELS codes. Yes, Michelle, are you trying to ask a question?
Yes, I was just wondering that 7 that you mentioned in there. I was wondering if that would be possibly a signal for at the beginning of the
It
seven year
could mean
tribulation.
several things. I think that there are seven thunders that were required to be their words to their words to be sealed. And so they spoke out of order. First of all, Yah's angels do not speak out of order. So the seven thunders that spoke out of order, they're significant
Seven
there. Yep.
seven steps of the fallen angels in the book of
Yep.
Enoch.
Yeah, and also I think there are seven fallen angels that are the chief ones over 200, right? So there are 200 overall, and then there are something like that. There's a significance to the number seven and Nephilim. There's no um, those words coming together, and it just came to me to look for anomalies because that's what alien UFO stuff is considered an anomaly, right? Things that are unexplained. It's like what is going on here, right? And you see that it comes up as a seven with the word Nephilim, right? What's the significance of seven? Well, there seven is a very special number in the Bible, first of all, but you do see a connection with Nephilim, fallen angels, the creation, a lot of sevens there. Marty just named something, right? From the book of Enoch, right? So there's a reason why it's encoded like that, and there's a reason why Yah gave me that particular word, Zerah, right? So there's probably still a lot there on that. One thing's for sure, the Greys, and they want us to believe that there are intelligent beings from other planets and stuff. It's all goes back to the Bible. In my opinion, that this is fallen angel stuff. This is Nephilim. Even the description of UFOs and things like that. That sounds like the book of Ezekiel to me. The chariots, the Merkabah, the wheel within a wheel. That's Ezekiel stuff. This is kind of spiritual realm stuff, right? So what they want us to do is take us away from God and ultimate creator to aliens and things like it's all a distraction. Anyway, it's relevant for this time right now. It's kind of a hot topic, and I get it. I understand when I see that many people emailing me asking me about the same thing. I get it, even though I was completely unaware of. I heard people talking about disclosure and stuff, but I didn't really have any knowledge of anything about it and thought, what is the disclosure gonna show that we got like some strange stuff going on? Where are we going with this? Star Trek, Star Wars kind of stuff. Anyway, I get why people are messaging me on it. It's kind of hot right now, and people are interested in that, and I see why. For years they've been pointing us to this kind of thing. And believe it or not, there's some that will make that kind of stuff into a religion before they follow a creator of the Bible. You understand? And so, we came from a big bang, and so there's other intelligent beings that we can learn from. And God's not where it's at. It's all about the grays and whatever. Anyway, that's what I got as far as codes. I do have some interesting stuff on Daniel, but before we go to that, I want to give you guys an opportunity to share your codes before that. That way we have all the codes together and then we can go into prophecies of Daniel. You guys got anything that you want to share?
Jonathan, I don't have anything.
That's okay.
I do not. Okay.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. If you guys don't have codes, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I got about 20 something. What'd you say there? I don't have anything for a while. Okay, no worries. All right, so I'm going to transition. Now we're going to talk about one of the most I wouldn't say controversial, but one of the most misinterpreted parts of the Bible, and that is the book of Daniel, where you'll see several things that are taken, interpreted in the wrong context, with in some cases, but also chronological. Some people think that certain parts of Daniel is speaking about the second coming of Yeshua when it's actually talking about the first coming of Yeshua. A lot of confusion there. I found an amazing presentation today that is so easy to follow. And it happens to be the very same thing that the Jewish leaders of One for Israel and So Be It, and a couple of the Jews for Jesus, um, Golan Broshi. I've heard him talking about this before in an interpretation of Daniel that I thought was a very insightful, because I was taught something very much different than this. Okay, so let me share that with you, you guys. I think you will enjoy this, especially if you love the book of Daniel. Daniel actually studied Isaiah and Jeremiah. Did you know that? When he was in exile, Jeremiah wrote about the exile and what was going to happen and much more, and even gave many details, even numbers. And then Daniel, while he was in exile, read Jeremiah and calculated when the Messiah was coming. First of all, when the exile would end, when the Messiah would come, when the temple was going to be rebuilt, and when it was going to be destroyed again. Because Yeshua is also affirming Daniel when he comes on the scene, and he tells everybody that the temple is going to be destroyed. It all comes from Daniel, right? This is a fascinating presentation, you guys. Hold on here just a second. Here we go.
There is a passage in the Old Testament that gives you a number. Not a metaphor, not a symbol, not a poetic gesture toward some distant future. A number. A specific count of years from a specific starting event to the arrival of a specific person. And when you run the math, it lands on the exact window of time when Jesus of Nazareth walked into Jerusalem. Most people who have read the Bible have never looked at this passage carefully. Most people who have heard of the book of Daniel know the lion's den. They know the fiery furnace. They might remember a dream about a statue. But buried in chapter 9 of that same book is a prophecy so precise that it made ancient rabbis uncomfortable, that modern skeptics have tried to redate, and that the prophet himself did not fully understand when he received it. The question is not whether the numbers are there. They are. The question is what you do with them once you see them. The man behind this book was not a priest. He was not a prophet by training. He was a teenager. Around 605 BC, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, besieged Jerusalem and carried away a group of young men from the royal family and the nobility of Judah. Daniel was among them. He was likely between 14 and 17 years old. He was taken from everything he knew, transported roughly 900 miles east to a city he had never seen, given a new name, enrolled in a 3-year program designed to erase his identity and remake him as a Babylonian court official.
Oh, hey, come on.
But it should not be skipped. Daniel served in foreign courts.
Sorry, guys. I knew it was going to happen. Sorry. Hold on just a second.
I'm here.
My internet dropped out. Like I said, I can't use a Wi-Fi now because I can't even find my internet. That is so unfortunate. Sorry, guys.
the king who destroyed Jerusalem. He served under Belshazzar, the king who drank wine from the sacred vessels looted from the temple. He served under Darius the Mede. He served under Cyrus the Persian. 4 kings, 2 empires, roughly 70 years.
Still glitching.
I see that. I'm so sorry. This kind of stuff discourages me.
It's okay. You can overthink, so we can all watch it. Maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share the link to it after class. I'll give it to you. But the immediate problem is it interrupts the flow of this video that eventually
He watched the nation that
should go
conquered his
out.
people, yet conquered in turn. And through all of it, he held on.
It's about the most aggravating thing ever. So aggravating.
To the God of Israel in a land that worshipped everything else. The book that carries his name splits into 2 halves, and most people only know the first one. Chapters 1 through 6 are stories. The fiery furnace, the writing on the wall, the lion's den. These are the passages that show up in children's Bibles and Sunday school flannel boards. They are vivid, dramatic, and familiar. Chapters 7 through 12 are visions. They are dense, strange, full of beasts and horns and timelines that stretch across centuries. Most readers slow down in chapter 7 and stop by chapter 8. The visions feel like a different book entirely. But they are not a different book. They are the reason the book exists. The stories show you who Daniel is. The visions show you what God showed Daniel. And the most extraordinary of those visions arrives in chapter 9. Here is how it starts. Daniel is old. He has been in Babylon for nearly 70 years. And he is reading. Specifically, he is reading the scroll of the prophet Jeremiah, and he finds a number. Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 11, and again in chapter 29, verse 10, had stated that the desolation of Jerusalem would last 70 years. Daniel does the math. The 70 years are almost up. Now pay attention to what he does next, because it is not what you might expect. He does not sit back and wait for the prophecy to fulfill itself. He does not say, God promised 70 years. The 70 years are almost done, so the restoration will happen automatically. He drops to his knees. He puts on sackcloth. He covers himself in ashes. And he prays one of the most remarkable prayers in the entire Old Testament. Daniel chapter 9, verses 4 and 5. I prayed to the Lord my God and made confession and said, O Lord, great and awesome God, who keeps his covenant and mercy with those who love him, and with those who keep his commandments, we have sinned and committed iniquity. We have done wickedly and rebelled, even by departing from your precepts and your judgments. Notice the pronouns. We have sinned. We have done wickedly. We have rebelled. Daniel was one of the most righteous men in the entire Old Testament. God himself, through the prophet Ezekiel, named Daniel alongside Noah and Job as examples of righteousness. Ezekiel 14:14. And yet Daniel does not pray as though he is above the sin of his people. He includes himself. He identifies with the failure. He does not stand at a distance and say, they sinned. He says, we sinned. That detail matters because it tells you something about the kind of person God chose to receive what comes next. While Daniel is still praying, still mid-sentence, the angel Gabriel arrives. Not after the prayer, during it. Daniel chapter 9, verses 21 through 23. Yes, while I was speaking in prayer, The man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, reached me about the time of the evening offering. And he informed me, and talked with me, and said, O Daniel, I have now come forth to give you skill to understand. At the beginning of your supplications, the command went out, and I have come to tell you, for you are greatly beloved. Therefore consider the matter, and understand the vision. 3 words in that passage deserve to sit with you. You are greatly beloved. The Hebrew is hamudot, from a root meaning precious, treasured, desired. The angel tells Daniel that he is treasured by God, and then he tells him to pay attention, because what follows is one of the most compressed and consequential prophecies in all of Scripture. Daniel chapter 9, verses 24 through 27. 4 verses. That is all. And inside those 4 verses is a timeline that stretches from the Persian Empire to the Roman destruction of Jerusalem, with the Messiah pinpointed in the middle. Verse 24, 70 weeks are determined for your people and for your holy city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. The English word weeks is translating the Hebrew word shavuim. And here is where the original language changes everything. Shavuim does not mean weeks, the way you think of weeks. The Hebrew word for a regular 7-day week is shavua, but shavuim in this context means sevens. Units of 7. 77s are determined for your people. 77s of what? The context makes it clear. Daniel has just been reading about 70 years. He has been thinking in years. Gabriel's answer comes in years. 77s of years. 70 times 7. 490 years. 490 years are determined for Daniel's people and for his holy city. And within that period, 6 things will be accomplished. Transgression will be finished. Sin will end. Reconciliation for iniquity will be made. Everlasting righteousness will be brought in. Vision and prophecy will be sealed. The most holy will be anointed. Read that list again slowly. Every item on it describes the work of the Messiah. Reconciliation for iniquity. Everlasting righteousness. This is not a political prediction. It is a redemptive one. Now verse 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, there shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublesome times. Here is where the numbers begin to do their work. Gabriel divides the 77s into 3 sections, 7 sevens, 62 sevens, and 1 final 7. First 2 sections, 7 plus 62, equals 69 sevens. 69 times 7.
So I hope you guys can see that this part of Daniel's prophecy is talking about the first coming of the Messiah based off of Jeremiah until the destruction of the temple, which Yeshua added to that when he came on the scene. And by the way, these very same scriptures were being reviewed. This is why Nicodemus believed, right? And Nicodemus understood the scriptures, but not all the rabbis would believe this. And you're going to see that a little further in this presentation.
Equals 483 years. And those 483 years are counted from a specific starting point.
Also, there were those that followed Yeshua that were familiar with this, who were asking the same questions. Even the family of John the Baptist knew this and knew the calculation. And so this is why Yeshua made sense to them. Okay, this is deep.
Point. The going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem. That starting point is historical. It is not vague. It is not symbolic. It refers to an actual decree issued by an actual king on a date that can be identified. Several decrees related to Jerusalem and the Jewish people were issued during the Persian period, Cyrus issued a decree in 538 BC allowing the Jews to return and rebuild the temple. Ezra 1:1-4. Darius confirmed that decree around 520 BC when the rebuilding stalled. Ezra 6:1-12. Artaxerxes issued a decree to Ezra in 457 BC, granting authority related to the temple and the law. Ezra 7:11-26. And Artaxerxes issued a second decree to Nehemiah in 445 BC, specifically authorizing the rebuilding of Jerusalem's walls and the city itself. Nehemiah 2:1-8. The language in Daniel 9:25 specifies the command to restore and build Jerusalem, not just the temple. Jerusalem, the city, the walls, the streets. That language aligns most precisely with the decree given to Nehemiah in 445 BC. The text in Nehemiah even specifies the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes. Nehemiah 2:1. Now watch what happens when you count forward from that decree, 483 years. But there is a detail in the counting that matters. The ancient Jewish calendar, like the Babylonian calendar Daniel would have been familiar with, operated on a 360-day prophetic year. This is not a modern invention. The book of Revelation uses the same framework, equating 42 months with 1,260 days, which works out to 30 days per month, 360 days per year. Revelation 11:2-3, 12:6. So, 483 years times 360 days per year equals 173,880 days. Convert that into our solar calendar of 365.25 days per year, and you get approximately 476 solar years. Count 476 years forward from 445 BC. You land in the early 30s AD. Let that settle for a moment. A prophecy given to a Jewish exile in Babylon in the 6th century BC, recorded in a text that was translated into Greek over a century before Jesus was born, gives a specific number of years from a specific historical decree to the arrival of Messiah the Prince, and the math points to the precise period when Jesus of Nazareth entered public ministry and rode into Jerusalem. Sir Robert Anderson, a Scotland Yard investigator in the 19th century, who was also a serious biblical scholar, published a detailed calculation in his book, The Coming Prince. Using the 445 BC decree and accounting for the 360-day prophetic year, he calculated 173,880 days from the decree of Artaxerxes to the exact date of Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem, the day Jesus publicly presented himself as Israel's king by riding into the city on a donkey while crowds shouted, Hosanna. Luke 19:28-44. Other scholars, using the 457 BC decree to Ezra as the starting point and counting in standard solar years, arrive at approximately AD 27, which aligns with the beginning of Jesus' public ministry and his baptism by John. Both approaches land in the same narrow window of history. The margins of debate are small. The convergence is remarkable. And here is something that should stop you. The Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Scriptures, was produced beginning in the 3rd century BC. That means Daniel chapter 9 existed in a widely circulated translation over 200 years before Jesus was born. This is not a text that could have been written after the fact and backdated.
All right, so Daniel wrote what he said based off of Jeremiah, which was about 500 to 700 years before Yeshua, about 250 years before Yeshua. So he was taking prophecies, calculating them, and then making another prophecy. I hope you understand that. About the arrival of the Messiah. And by the way, the Jews of this time most of them miss their visitation. Very few, especially the learned. Joseph of Arimathea, and Nicodemus were very few of the 70 elders that understood what the prophecies were saying, or accepted, should I say.
The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in 1947, contain fragments of Daniel that date to the 2nd century BC. The prophecy was on paper, in circulation, before the event it describes. Now, verse 26, and after the 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end of it shall be with a flood. Until the end of the war, desolations are determined. 2 predictions in 1 verse. First, after the 483 years.
Listen very carefully, you guys, because this is the part that predicts the coming of the Yeshua. And then when Yeshua gets here, by the way, Yeshua predicts the destruction of the temple. He's basing that on Daniel 9. All right. All of it lines up. It's exact. The prince who shall come is Titus. Titus was the son of Vespasian. Vespasian was Caesar. That makes Titus a prince. He destroyed the sanctuary. That was 30 years, 80, 70, 40 years after Yeshua. Right? So Daniel 9 fulfilled all the way up to and beyond Yeshua. Now, this particular chapter, a lot of evangelicals attribute this to the second coming and to the third temple, but this is actually fulfilled by AD 30 and then AD 70.
Messiah will be cut off. The Hebrew word is yikaret, from the root karet. It is the word used for cutting a covenant, but it is also the word used for being cut down, destroyed, executed. In Leviticus, the phrase cut off from his people describes the most severe form of judgment. And then the text adds 3 words that change everything. But not for himself. The Messiah will be cut off, but not for his own sake, not for his own sin, not for his own cause, for someone else. The language is forensic. It describes a substitutionary death. Someone is executed, and the execution is not for his own crimes. It is for others, written 5 centuries before the cross. Second, after the Messiah is cut off, the city and the sanctuary will be destroyed. The people of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. In AD 70, roughly 37 years after the crucifixion of Jesus, the Roman general Titus besieged Jerusalem. The siege lasted 5 months. By the end of it, the temple was burned to the ground, the city was leveled, and over 1 million people were dead, according to the 1st century historian Josephus. The people of the prince who is to come were the Romans. And the destruction came exactly as Daniel 9:26 described. After the Messiah was cut off, the sequence is locked. First, the decree to rebuild. Then...
All right, so what happened to those who missed their visitation? Do you guys know what they did? This is the birth of rabbinic Judaism. All the ones that were cut off and missed their visitation no longer had a temple, right? No longer had any temple practice because they missed their visitation, and they started inventing their own way. They by the way, they had started that already before Yeshua had come from Babylon, inventing their own way. Yeshua called them out on it. Now that they don't have a sanctuary, they no longer have a temple, because Yeshua fulfilled, by the way, what he fulfilled was the sacrificial requirement. No, nothing else. He didn't fulfill all the others, meaning we still must keep all the sacrament, the Sabbath, the feast, the things that Yeshua didn't fulfill, that are still, there were things that Yah created as far as law that were eternal. The sacrificial was temporary. We can see that with the temple ordinances there. The covering covering is a temporary thing. You have to get a covering through the temple once a year, right? So Yeshua came to fulfill that. So that was no longer needed to kill animals to cover your sins for the next year. Yeshua fulfilled that. But the rest, the feast, the Sabbath, the Ten Commandments, the basics, the fundamentals of what Yah laid out for us, that was not nailed to the cross, my friend. Okay. So this part of Daniel 9, which is, like I said, most frequently from evangelicals interpreted as a second coming kind of thing, attributed to the third temple. And some of them even do that with the abomination of desolation. By the way, that happened with Antiochus Epiphanes. But many people don't want, that's preterism, that hasn't happened yet. No, it happened. I'm not saying there's not a dual fulfillment of it, but it in fact did happen to the T, and so did Daniel 9:26. Now there may be a parallel to this. There may be a similarity to this in the end times. I'm not against that. But in fact, Daniel 9 has been fulfilled as Daniel calculated what he read in Jeremiah, and that's why he prophesied this. He prayed about it. The angel come and told him, Daniel, greatly beloved in heaven, right? And Daniel was concerned about what was going to happen in the end. It affected him so much that he was sick, you guys, when he saw what was happening. And he asked about it, and the angel said, don't worry about that. That's sealed up till the end. You go your own way. That's not your concern, Daniel, right? Well, whose concern is it? It's our concern, because we are in this time. Daniel was revealed what was supposed to be revealed to him, and what he was not allowed to see, we can see. You understand?
483 years. Then Messiah appears. Then Messiah is cut off, not for himself. Then the city and the sanctuary are destroyed. History followed the sequence exactly. There is no rearranging required. There is no creative interpretation. The events unfolded.
This is the sequence of Daniel 9 right here. The decree goes out in 445 BC. There are 483 years. Messiah appears, right? He's cut off, and then the destruction. Just like that.
In the order the text gave them. The ancient rabbis knew what this passage said. The Talmud, in Tractate Sanhedrin 97b, records discussions about when the Messiah should have arrived based on Daniel's timeline. Some rabbis, after the destruction of the temple, pronounced a curse on anyone who attempted to calculate the end times using Daniel's numbers, because the calculations pointed to a period that had already passed.
Right. So they realized they'd missed their visitation. And by the way, this is the birth of the little.
The Messiah they expected, a political liberator who would overthrow Rome, had not come in the way they anticipated. Let that sink in. The text was so uncomfortable that some religious leaders told people to stop reading it. But there were others who read it differently. The Essenes, the Jewish community that produced the Dead Sea Scrolls, appeared to have been deeply occupied with Daniel's timeline. Fragments of Daniel appear more frequently in the Qumran caves than almost any other biblical book. They were counting. They were waiting. They believed the numbers meant something, and Simeon. Luke chapter 2 describes an old man named Simeon who was waiting for what he called the consolation of Israel. The Holy Spirit had revealed to him that he would not die before he had seen the Lord's Messiah. When Mary and Joseph brought the infant Jesus to the temple, Simeon took the child in his arms and said, Lord, now you are letting your servant depart in peace according to your word. For my eyes have seen your salvation. Luke.
My eyes have seen Yeshua. That's exactly what Yeshua's name means, the salvation of Yah, right? My eyes have seen your, talking to Yah, salvation. My eyes have seen Yeshua. You understand the significance? There were some that were expecting this because they read Daniel. Seriously.
Jonathan,
Yes.
doesn't this align with what Scott Clark's timeline, correct? The
Uh,
483, and then
if
he appeared in 30 AD, and then 3.5 years later? Yeah, it was
exact
33 AD. All
Exactly.
right.
Now, some have that measured a little differently. 27, the year 27 is very significant. So there's a range in there. But the fact is, all what Daniel was speaking about was fulfilled in Yeshua. And there were Jews that knew the scriptures in that time that were calculating based on what Daniel had said, based on what Jeremiah had said, and they were expecting. So this is, I mean, I think this is why Nicodemus had a very, he had a strong interest in Yeshua. Listen, Yah's going to always have two witnesses. And out of the 70 of the Sanhedrin, Yah used Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus. Okay. And those two were able to see it. For some reason, he blinded the rest. They couldn't see it until afterwards. Apparently, if you read the testimony of Caiaphas and what he wrote to the Sanhedrin, the two letters. The first letter, he's not so favorable of Yeshua, and then the second letter, he's talking about that's the Messiah. We messed up. Yeah. So it was apparent that they had missed, just like Yeshua said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how I long. Oh my gosh, man. He had a heart for the people there and they rejected him. He said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how I long to gather you under my wing as a mother hen, but you would not. And you will not see me again until you say, he's talking to the Jews. Now, so if you want to know when Jesus is coming back, folks, it's when the Jews say, blessed is he who comes in the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, because that's what Yeshua came in the name of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. I come in my Father's name, right? Yeshua says this to the Jews when they missed their visitation, right? So this man, Simeon, my eyes have seen your salvation, talking about Yeshua. He has understood the scriptures, he understood the calculation, and he has now seen the baby called Yeshua. That is amazing. So it wasn't completely hidden. It just as it is now, it's hidden from certain people, but it's very apparent to others. And so I'm not against, by the way, the double of fulfillment, because there is a code in the Bible called twice speak, that Daniel might be fulfilled twice. That's very possible. But the fact is, much of this has already happened, right? And so this is amazing to me.
Luke 2:29 to 30.
That somebody has put this out like this.
He was waiting at the right time, in the right place. And the simplest
I
explanation.
wish I had the gift of putting the uh, graphs and timelines. I love this kind of thing where you can see the actual counting, because people talk about the 70 weeks and they attribute it to the second coming and yada, yada, yada. And it's like pre-trib rapture stuff. Then, Scott moved from that and now he sees it a little differently. But the fact is, a lot of them think all this has to do with the second coming. Me and Scott moved, you guys, on a lot of things, the preacher of rapture, a lot of things. We're not eye to eye right now, but if I'm yoked to anybody on YouTube right now, that's pretty much in line. We're going in the basic same direction. If that makes sense? I did do a recording with him and Joey Thompson not too long ago, but I couldn't use the content because Joey was kind of militant in it. And so But I thought it was good content, but uh, Joey was just, he was like Peter in the Garden of Gethsemane. He wanted to pull his sword and he wanted to be on the attack. And you guys, that's not how you bring somebody over to believe what you are seeing, right? You can't be militant. You can't beat. I can't take the Bible and beat it over somebody's head and get the gospel in them. You understand what I'm saying? You got to be a light. And what a light is, what the light of the nations is, you attract. You have to attract them like a moth to a light. You understand what I'm saying? You can't be aggressive. They have to come to you and be like, "Hey, what's this light?" You understand? So I couldn't use that, and which is unfortunate. But it's a learning experience. I'm hoping Joey, because he is so enthusiastic and wants to get the truth across to people, that he's willing to beat them over the head with the Bible. And so I'm trying to show him that you got to be like a light bulb. You have to attract them to what you're saying. Does that make sense? Anyway, the timeline here is phenomenal. I wish I could do these graphs and show this, because when I saw this video, it resonated with me because I'm a visual person. The only problem is I can't put the visuals down, so I quite often use other people's um, presentation, which is okay. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I love promoting other people, um, but this is great here. I mean, you can see what's happening.
For how he knew when to wait is that he could count. Now step back and look at the architecture of what Daniel chapter 9 contains. A precise starting point, a specific duration, a named figure, Messiah the Prince, a description of what would happen to him, cut off, but not for himself, and a description of what would follow, the destruction of the city and the temple. 5 elements, all 5 fulfilled in verifiable historical sequence. There is no other passage like this in ancient literature, not in any religious tradition. No other text from the ancient world names a future figure, gives a timeline counted from a datable event, describes the nature of his death, and predicts the geopolitical aftermath, and then watches all of it happen in order. And yet, the passage is strangely neglected. Ask most churchgoers what Daniel chapter 9 says, and you will get a blank look. Ask most Bible studies to walk through the math, and they will change the subject. The lion's den is safe. The fiery furnace is dramatic. But Daniel 9:24 to 27 makes a claim so specific that it either demands your attention or your avoidance. There is no comfortable middle ground. The prophet himself did not fully understand what he had been given. Earlier, in chapter 8, after receiving a related vision, Daniel writes in verse 27, I, Daniel, fainted and was sick for days. Afterward, I arose and went about the king's business. I was astonished by the vision, but no one understood it. The weight of what he saw physically broke him. He collapsed. He was ill, and he kept going to work the next day because he was a man in exile, and the empire did not pause for prophetic visions. That is the texture of this book. It is not written by a man sitting comfortably in a study. It is written by a man who was stolen from his home as a boy, who served foreign kings for 7 decades, who was thrown into a den of lions for praying with his window open, who received visions that made him physically sick, and who at the end of it all was told by an angel, You are greatly beloved. Daniel never saw the fulfillment. He died in Babylon or Persia, probably in his mid-80s, still in exile. He never saw Jerusalem rebuilt. He never saw the Messiah arrive. He never saw the cross or the empty tomb. He received a prophecy that stretched 500 years past his own death, and he recorded it faithfully without seeing its completion. The writer of Hebrews may have had men like Daniel in mind when he wrote in chapter 11, verse 13, These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, were assured of them, embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. Daniel saw the promise from 500 years away, and he believed it. Here is the question the passage leaves you with. If a text written in the 6th century BC can name a timeline that lands on the exact generation of Jesus of Nazareth, can describe his death as substitutionary before the concept of substitutionary atonement had been formally articulated, and can predict the destruction of the temple that followed, what does that tell you about the mind behind the text? Because Daniel did not guess. Jeremiah did not guess. The numbers are not round. They are not vague. 483 years from a specific decree to a specific person. Either the most extraordinary coincidence in recorded history, or the fingerprint of a God who knows the end from the beginning. Isaiah 46, 9-10. Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things that are not yet done. Daniel's prophecy does not ask you to take a blind leap. It gives you a number and tells you to check it. It points to a date and tells you to look at who was standing there when the clock ran out. And when you look, you find a man riding a donkey into Jerusalem, while crowds wave palm branches and shout words from Psalm 118. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. The numbers brought you to the doorstep, but the doorstep is not the destination. The destination is the person standing in it. Daniel was greatly beloved. That is what the angel told him. And the Messiah that Daniel's prophecy points to, the one who would be cut off but not for himself, is the same one who said in John 15:13, greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. Cut off, but not for himself, for you. The book of Daniel does not end with the prophecy of chapter 9. It ends in chapter 12 with another angel asking, how long shall the fulfillment of these wonders be? And the answer given is, go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Daniel 12:9.
So y'all told Daniel, don't worry about it. It's not for you to know. Y'all gave him just enough. And by the way, what he was given, it made him sick. It made him physically sick, where he was sick, and the angel had to come and revive him. So if y'all had given him more than he could handle, what would happen, right? He wasn't meant to know what we are to know. That was revealed to us. But in hindsight, the gift of hindsight that we have, because we have the internet and we have access to scriptures and all those kinds of things, you guys, we can see what's before us, or we can anticipate, in other words, what's before us. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that we can search codes. And great minds like Isaac Newton couldn't do what we can do today because we have access to computers. Update on TourSoft. Apparently all the thumb drives that I mailed out made their destinations, one being James, and he is working with it. He did tell me this week that his work schedule, he's overloaded. So he's got more than he can handle on him right now, and he hasn't been able to focus on it too much. And I've told you guys before, he's working basically like 3 jobs. And that's not counting the contract work that he's doing. So he's got it. He's going to work with it. He's going to make it available. So you guys just hang tight. I know it's requiring a level of patience from you, but just rest assured. No, I didn't send you, Margie. I will send you one. Text or email me your address, because I have it, but I don't have it right in front of me. Send me your address and I'll send you one. The fact that I sent copy to James, I'm trying to make it more readily available. I'm breaking up. Yeah, it's the internet. The internet sucks here. Like the guys, there are 4,000 people living in this complex that I live in a high rise, that are using the internet. And so I've tried to circumvent that. But like I said in the beginning of this class, I can't even find the internet icon on my computer anymore, and I cannot engage my VPN. So something's freaky is going on with my computer where I couldn't even get on 5G tonight with a hotspot to make make it better. So that's why I cut out a couple of times. Listen, keep me in prayer. I've had people hack me in the 16 years that I've been on YouTube like 9 times. Major hackings where I've had to replace multiple devices in that time. Okay. And so there are times where I'm on like I'm on a hot streak on something, and it seems like I get resistance in hacking or the internet, or something technical happens where I can't broadcast, right? That's when I know where I'm over the target. That's been happening quite frequently here recently about the calendar, mostly of all things. I mean, sandbagged on that. I'm only getting a few hundred views, and it's not about the views, by the way. I'm not doing this for views or for clicks or anything. I just want people to know the truth and consider those kind of things and calculate. Daniel is one who calculated. If you go and read that book, you will see Daniel is one who understood these things. And so it's right in. All of us belong to the house of Daniel, by the way. Searching codes, enigmas, riddles, hidden things in the Bible. That's what Daniel did. So what you're doing with me, searching codes, is the house of Daniel. Okay, that's a significant thing. Yeah, they've been trying to hide his calendar because it reveals a lot. It reveals that we're out of sync with all of nature. First of all, out of sync with nature. This is why we feel like we're off sometimes, and bombarded with all kinds of frequencies, and we don't understand the significance with all of these components, frequencies, things that you put in front of your face that you're being indoctrinated with, programmed with. Like your eyes are recording everything. When you're on your phone or your computer, it's important that you put good things into your brain, right? So society's already doing that for you already. Everywhere you go, the commercials you see, the places you go, there's going to be things that are going to be input into you, right? You got to be beyond that. And so that's where the house of Daniel was. He could see that. He didn't succumb to what was required of him when it came to what he ate or how he worshiped, right? Or what he believed. You're being bombarded now with things about disclosure and aliens and stuff. And so they're trying to insert things into your thinking about alien beings and the possibility that maybe God don't exist. Maybe we came from something else and there are other intelligent beings that we can learn from, right? So you got to be hyper aware of that kind of stuff. Your children, your grandchildren, they're definitely going to be influenced, folks, because of the internet. So we got to be hyper vigilant and proactive in teaching those that have no idea what's going on, right? So I hope you learned something. Pay attention to what's going on. Don't be distracted by much of what you see on the media, right? Take it with a grain of salt. Use wisdom, pray, ask God to lead you into all truth, okay? I'm seeing something really remarkable right now, and I wasn't aware of the negative media that America is receiving until the World Cup, folks. And I got to be really honest with you. I was disillusioned even to the point where I have reneged with my patriotism. And folks, I was an A1A Marine, 5.5 point Marine. Patriot among patriots, right? But I've become disillusioned with the United States over the years. But here recently with the World Cup, especially that America is hosting the World Cup, that's changed a little bit. Not because I'm a fan of the America soccer team or anything like that, but how we host other nations. I'm impressed with that. I'm very impressed with that. I mean, even to the point where I feel like I need to make a video about it. Um, all these other nations who have seen the bad press about America, Scottish people who are afraid to come to America because they were worried that ICE would be at the airport arresting people, right? Seriously. All kinds of bad press. They all come to America, experience the World Cup, and find out Americans are actually great people. So what's going on? It's our leaders. Our leaders make us look bad. Their policies, what they do, it's not about the average person here, right? No, it's our leaders make us look bad. That's what I've learned from this. And this is something that's, as I said, resurged my, I wouldn't say patriotism, but my pride in America. And what I'm proud about is hospitality, how people have not shown their ass hosting all of the nations. They've actually been good hosts and polite and kind and hasn't stabbed or robbed or shot someone. Seriously, folks. That's impressed me more than anything else, that Americans, the average Joe, no matter where they are, Miami, Boston, Los Angeles, wherever they are, all of these people from other countries are saying Americans are beautiful people. They're hospitable, they're kind, they're loving, they're generous. Don't forget that. I did. I became disillusioned. I had almost given up hope on America because of all the BS I've seen over the few years. But in this experience, and I'm seeing foreigners in my town right now because we're hosting here in Miami the World Cup, and there are many countries that are here, and my experience has been beautiful. So I just wanted to say that before I close this class out. I know I'm rambling a little bit, and you may not even care about the World Cup or soccer or anything like that, but it is truly something that unites people, and I see that in this. The average person is not really as political as you think, and supporting Israel or supporting what we're doing to Iran and all that kind of stuff, right? Most Americans are way past that and see that. There is a lot of disillusion, and Michelle, and that's what's sad to me. I was even believing that crap up and I was ashamed almost to be an American, and up until this point where I saw that people coming from other countries experiencing this World Cup. And by the way, I'm not like a hardcore soccer fan. I'm married into it, by the way. I'm an Argentine fan. I love Messi. I'm supporting Argentina and Spain, but I'm not like a hardcore soccer person, right? But I see what's happening, you guys. I'm going to do a video on this, and I got a lot of clips that prove what I'm saying. There are people, literally people coming from so many countries around the world coming here and having a pleasant experience. I have not seen one time anybody said, "Oh no, I don't go to America. I got robbed. Somebody stabbed me. I was arrested by ICE." None of that stuff. It's all beautiful. That part makes me proud. Okay. Not the fact that we got red, white, and blue, and yada yada yada. It's just scuba. None of that stuff. Hospitality. Hospitality. Taking in somebody, feeding them, giving them drink, right? Not robbing them, not scamming them. I'm proud of my country right now for that fact. In spite of the wickedness that happens in our country, I'm proud of that, folks. So if the World Cup is happening in your city, wherever you are, I would encourage you to interact with those that are involved in that experience, that are coming from other countries, because they're beautiful people. Really are, really are. I met dozens and dozens of people from many different countries: Scottish, Spanish, Argentine, Brazilian, Colombian, you name it. They're all good people. We're all part of creation, folks. It is our leaders that want to turn us against each other and create war and have us always fighting. Okay, so never forget that. We're all created by the same God, right? No matter what people believe. All right, that's what I got for you. I'm sorry I kept you so long. You guys got anything before I close out tonight? At some point, and by the way, Margie, don't forget to send me your information so I can send you a thumb drive. At some point, you guys will have access to it at the website. You can just sign in at the website and use Torosoft and not worry. You emailed it to me. Yeah, I know. I've gotten mail from you, Margie, but I don't have my hands on that right now. Text me or text me on the phone your address, and I'll send it to you. For right now, with the way Windows is, this particular program, because it was written in 2000, it's not supported right now. So if you download it on a Windows machine, that's Windows 10 or 11, initially it will not run it. Okay. So that has been a problem with people that cannot circumvent that issue. So my solution to that was create a place on the website that you can use it, download files and all that kind of stuff. You can save all of your stuff. No, we're not hearing you, Paul. If you're trying to talk, you are muted. You can download your files and save all that kind of stuff through the website. We're just trying to make it somewhere where you can use it at this point. And if I can do that, then I can increase the school. Right now, I haven't pushed to get new students because we don't have a valid download. And so initially, my solution was, let's just write our own. Well, that hasn't exactly been the easiest task, even though we have the aid of AI. So the fallback solution is to preserve what we have. So that's what I'm trying to do here. At the same time, trying to write our own program. So we're not abandoning that. Just because of sake of time and because it's taking time to do that. That's the other option I have to do. Paul, you're trying to talk, brother? I see your messaging there. We can't
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. What's up, my man?
Oh, okay. Did you get a thumb drive sent out to me?
No. So
I was wanting. I wanted to put
I missed you
on my new computer.
I will send that out. Also, you send me your address, so I'll have that. I don't have it right in front of me.
I did. I can send it again.
Send it again.
Okay.
Listen, man. I'm not the best organized. Sometimes people have to message me a couple of times. I get overwhelmed, and I'm not as organized as you would think I am. And so help me out a little bit. Bombard me with messages if you're trying to get something across. It's okay. I understand. It's don't feel like you're being too much. It's needed sometimes because I admit I have times where I'm just overwhelmed with things and I miss things. All right. All right, so it's only like 425. It's not much, Margie. The thumb drives I've been sending out, which are like $20, it's fine. It fits on there. You can fit a lot more on there because it's relatively a small file. It's when you get it, we're gonna have to tell your computer it's okay to run that file because immediately the 10 and 11 from Windows is gonna say no. And so you have to tell your computer, say yes. And then you have to change it from 32 bit to 64 bit. I do know that. So there are some things that you have to do. But it is possible. I'm running Windows 10 right now. And I can use that program. So it is possible. So, all right. So Paul and Margie, need to make sure I got that. Listen, I'm trying to keep up with a lot, you guys. Paul, you got my cell phone number?
I have Discord messaging. That'll probably work. Actually, I sent you my address on our personal Discord message between
All
you
right,
and
so
I.
I'll find it, but I'll find it there. I'll find it there and write it down. And I'll get those sent to both of you. Yeah.
Okay.
Margie, when y'all provides, I'm able to buy those. But if you want to volunteer to get a few of them, that will be good because it does save me some expense. Those are like 15 to $20 for the cheap ones at Best Buy. Thumb drives, yeah. You want one too, Leslie? All right. Make sure you message me your email, okay, Leslie?
Okay, yes, I will.
All right. So when you get these thumb drives, even if you can't get it downloaded, you still got the program on that thumb drive. We will eventually figure it out. I've noticed for the most part, most people are a little bit me. All right. Somebody else had to show me how to make it work on my computer. I could not figure it out. All right. So I get it. If you can't do it, it's because of the way technology is now and the way Windows is. It recognizes it as an unsupported uh, um, program, and it flags it as a pirated because of that. Okay, so Windows won't run it. That is the issue we're trying to get over. All right, but there is a way to override that. That's my point. So if you got it on a thumb drive, we will get it on your computer at some point. Okay. They're cheaper on Amazon. Okay, thank you, Margie, for doing that. Yeah, if you can buy them in bulk, that would help me a lot. I recently had to send out a few of them, and it was costly for me to do that. Plus, I considered sending it. What is not UPS? UPS wants to charge you $30 to send a package with a thumb drive in it. You guys believe that? That is crazy to me. Crazy. Now you can send it USPS, but it's not guaranteed. It like takes days and weeks for it to get there, but you don't.
In 3 days.
No, man, from USPS, the United States Payroll. No, it
Yeah,
takes long.
yeah,
They have
yes,
3 days.
Go ahead.
United States Post Office. You can get flat rate, the boxes, and they're a lot cheaper. And you can do like, I think they guarantee in 3 days for it to be delivered.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's cheaper to go USPS. If you don't do anything, it takes like 7 to 14 days. They don't guarantee nothing. It's just going to get there, right?
You just protect it, put it in a folder, don't tell them what there is, and it's like nothing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I use the American postal system to send those out, so it might take a week or so to get there. All right, thank you, Leslie. I see that. All right, Paul, Margie, and Leslie. I'll get that to you. And then when you get it, we'll work on getting it on your machine, okay? All right, you guys got anything else you want to add before?
The spirit is moving